In today's video, we'll be taking a look at an awesome system for situations where you want to run long lengths of HDMI cables through a building, such as through walls and ceilings. And it's these, pure fibre, detachable HDMI cables from RUIPRO. And I'd like to say a massive thank you to RUIPRO for sending me these to take a look at. And just so I'm completely upfront, RUIPRO have sent me these free of charge to take a look at, but they haven't paid me, they haven't told me anything to say, so I'll be giving my honest opinion. This type of product has also been on my list for quite some time, so I'm really excited to try them out. When you're picking HDMI cables, it's usually not a huge deal. They either work or they don't, and if down the line you find a cable can't cope with a newer HDMI standard, they're pretty cheap and easy to replace. However, when you're running cables through your building, you really don't want to be replacing them in the future, especially when they're hidden inside finished walls or under flooring, so it's important to get them right the first time. With HDMI cables, there are a couple of main options, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. First, you have traditional copper HDMI cables such as these. As the name suggests, these are simple copper cables, and for the most part they're fine. But when you start to get lengths of beyond 15 metres, you can start to experience issues with modern 4K and HDR standards. And this maximum length is only likely to decrease in the future with higher bandwidth HDMI standards. An alternative option is these, active optical HDMI cables. These cables use fibre optics to carry the high bandwidth HDMI signal and can therefore operate over much longer distances, even up to 100 metres. However, the downside of these is that because they contain active circuitry, they are tied to a particular HDMI version. If you run an HDMI 2.0 optical cable through your building and then want to run HDMI 2.1 over it, it's not going to work. Whereas with a copper cable, it might not work, or you might get lucky and it'll be fine. These cables are also directional, meaning that one end needs to be connected to the source and the other needs to be connected to the display. And if you need to use it the other way around, the only option is to completely flip the cable, which isn't ideal when it runs through your walls. This is particularly important if you're giving the cable to a contractor to install, because if they don't realise the cable is directional and install it backwards, you're going to have a very bad time. So that brings us to these cables, which provide the length benefits of active optical cables and go a long way to get rid of all the disadvantages. So let's take a look at them. So, RUIPRO have sent me over 3 different lengths of this cable. We have a 6 metre version, a 50 metre version, and a 100 metre version. So yep, with this kit, you can run an HDMI 2.1 signal up to 100 metres, which is really impressive. For now, we'll take a look at the 6 metre version since it'll be easier to work with on the table, and I'll test out the longer versions later in the video. Taking a look inside the box, we have an instruction manual, the transmitter and receiver, the fibre cable itself, and then a pair of micro USB cables for power, which we'll talk about in a minute. First up, let's take a look at this transmitter and receiver. Of course, you get 2 of them. One is designated the transmitter, labelled source, and the other is designated the receiver, labelled display. So you do need to use them the correct way around. Then on each of them, you have an HDMI plug connected to the source device or display, a micro USB connection for power, which again we'll talk about shortly, and a connection for the fibre cable, which is currently protected by a plastic cap to prevent dust getting in. So of course, to connect these up, we'll need a cable, and here it is. Now, if you use fibre patch leads, you're probably more used to seeing something like this, which is a standard fibre patch cable that you normally see in a data centre, terminated in LC connectors. So you may be looking at this cable and think it looks a bit different, and that's because it is. This is a multi-core fibre cable consisting of 7 individual fibres terminating a connector known as MPO, which stands for multi-fibre push on. And while you may not have seen these before, these aren't some sort of cable that's proprietary to this system. Instead, they're a relatively standardised cable that's commonly used for 40 and 100 gigabit Ethernet applications. They can also be used with special adapters and patch panels to split out the multiple fibres into individual LC connectors, allowing easy installation of trunks consisting of large numbers of fibres between locations in a data centre or a building. So, why are we using them here? Well, as you can see here, HDMI 2.1 operates using data rates of up to 48 gigabits a second, which is a lot of bandwidth to shove down a single fibre. On top of that, without going into too much technical detail, HDMI itself transmits data over a set of parallel lanes. HDMI 2.0 and below transmit data over 3 TDMS lanes, and the 2.1 transmits data over up to 4 so-called FRL lanes. Therefore, by using these MPO fibre cables, this system can relatively easily send all of those HDMI data lanes down their own fibres, which requires much simpler, lower cost hardware. You may also find some systems that can transmit HDMI over a single fibre, but you'll notice that those are often either limited to slower HDMI standards such as HDMI 1.4, or employing some sort of video compression to reduce the data rate. That's because in order to send the signal down a single fibre, they're having to multiplex those 3 or 4 HDMI data lanes onto a single fibre, which is also going to require more complicated and therefore more expensive hardware. It's also worth mentioning that these regular active optical cables also work in the exact same way. They use multiple fibres in parallel to transmit the video signal. The only difference is that these also use copper wires to carry other signals such as CEC, ARC and HDCP, whereas with the RUIPRO system, those are carried over their own individual fibres. So while this does mean that you aren't going to be able to use this system over your existing LC fibre runs, if you're planning on running in new cables, running in these MPO cables, you're able to use the system as well as gaining the ability to upgrade the transmitter and receiver in the future to use newer HDMI standards. On top of that, if in the future your plans change, those MPO fibre runs could easily be converted to multiple LC fibre links and used for networking. You also don't have to use the cables that are included with this system. RUIPRO claim that it will work with any 12-core Type A, OM3 or OM4 cable. This means that you could buy a bunch of cables from your preferred supplier, run them through your building and then later come along with this kit and use it to run HDMI over those fibres. Taking a closer look at the cable, you might notice the one I have here is black and says armoured on it. That's because this system is available in two different versions. A standard cable, which is the standard aqua colour of OM3 fibre like this, and an armoured version that contains some additional steel armouring. Now, I wouldn't necessarily treat this as like a regular steel wired armoured cable and go directly burying it underground, but the armouring will give it a bit of additional protection, both during installation and also after it has been installed. In particular, the armoured version will offer additional protection from things such as rodents chewing on the cable. So if you're planning on running the cable bare through your building, the armoured version is definitely worth considering, but if you're planning on running it through conduit, you'd probably get away with the standard version. Next up, on the end of the cable, we have the MPO connectors, which are covered by these protective caps, which you definitely want to leave on when you're installing the cable. Then in terms of size, while they aren't tiny, you can see they are significantly smaller than a full-size HDMI plug. This will make it much easier to run them through a building. Now, the difference might not look absolutely huge, but believe you me, this size difference can make all the difference when it comes to running a cable through tight conduits or holes in joists. Then, if we take the caps off, we can see the end of the MPO connector. And if we hold one end up to the light, you can maybe just about see the 7 individual fibres that are running through the cable. There you go, you can maybe just about make them out there. Then, with all the caps removed, we can take the connectors and plug them into the transmitter and receiver. So, plugs in there like that, and plugs in there like that. The connectors lock in place, and they can be removed simply by pulling this collar back and unplugging them, just like that. And with that, we have a complete HDMI cable. But there's one more thing to consider, and that's power. Because of the active electronics, both the transmitter and receiver require power to operate, and that's where things get a little bit tricky. HDMI source devices generally provide power through their output ports, but HDMI sync devices such as displays don't. With a hybrid active optical cable, this isn't an issue, since they take power from the source end and contain some copper wires to carry that power to the display end. But here we have a pure fibre cable, meaning that it cannot carry power. Therefore, at the very least, you'll need to power the display end through its micro USB connector. But it's not quite that simple. Remember how I said that these hybrid cables use copper wires to transmit signals such as HDMI CEC? This means they can transmit the CEC power on commands even when the cable isn't powered. On the other hand, because these cables use fibre to carry those signals, both ends of the cable need to be powered for the CEC commands to work. This means that if you're to plug the source end into a device that only outputs power through its HDMI port when it's powered on, and then plug the USB cable from the display into your TV's USB ports that also only provide power when the TV's on, then you wouldn't be able to use the CEC command to power on your source device when you turn on your TV, or vice versa. So it's important to bear this in mind when you're installing this. If you want to use CEC to power on devices using this cable, you just need to put a bit of thought into powering the cable to make sure that both the ends are powered up whenever you want to send CEC commands. Realistically, the worst case scenario is you need to keep both the ends plugged into a permanent USB power source, either a USB port on one of your AV devices that provides continuous power, or just use a USB power brick. So now let's test this out. So here I have this Apple TV, which I'll be using as a source device, and then this HDMI port on the wall is connected to this TV. So let's try it out. So we're going to take the cable, we'll untie it because it's all tied up right now, and then we're going to connect the source end into the Apple TV, which will also power that end, and then we're going to connect the display end into the port on the wall. And then, as I mentioned before, the display end will also require power, so I'll just plug it into this power brick. Of course, if you had a normal TV, you'd be able to plug it just into a USB port on the TV, but here, because the TV is kind of in the wall and I'm running it through a cable in the wall, I'm going to use a power brick. Now we'll wait for the stupid Samsung TV to do all its weird HDMI negotiation stuff. I absolutely hate these TVs for all this. But we'll wait a while for the TV to do its thing, and then we'll take a look at it working. And as you can see, it works. We've been able to connect at a full 4K 50Hz with HDR enabled, and because this cable carries CEC, we can even control the Apple TV using the TV's remote. So you can see there, that's the TV's remote, not the Apple TV's remote. And we can go through, and we can control the Apple TV over HDMI CEC through this cable. It all works really well. So that was a relatively simple test using a 6-meter cable with an HDMI 2.0 device, so not particularly exciting. So now, let's quickly jump downstairs and take a look at using the full 100-meter cable and using it at HDMI 2.1 speeds. Okay, so now here I am in the kitchen where I have a TV that supports HDMI 2.1 so we can fully test this cable. So what you can see here is we have the 100-meter version of this cable, so I'm doing the full test with the longest cable I have, and I've got it connected up to this PS5, which is plugged into the TV. Now, this might look a bit weird, but that's because this is a Samsung frame TV, which means that the TV is mounted on the wall and then the TV connects over a single cable into this box called a One Connect box. But realistically, this box here is essentially just the ports you would have on the back of a normal TV. It's kind of just split into, you've got the display part and then the actual brains of the TV in a separate box. So what we have here is the cable comes out the PS5, runs into the big coil of 100 meters of cable, and then plugs the HDMI port on the Samsung frame TV itself. And as you can see, it works. I've got the information for the connected HDMI device pulled up on the PlayStation here, and as you can see, it's set up at a full 4K resolution. It's capable of 120 Hz. It works. Now, the only slight catch with this is that when I first connected this up, it didn't seem to work, and it was limiting me to 60 Hz. But when I first connected it up, all I did was connect the USB power supply on the TV's end, like I did before, but on the PlayStation end, I didn't connect the USB power supply because, you know, the PlayStation's output can power the system, and it worked, but was limited to 60 Hz. So in a kind of last-ditch attempt, I thought, right, I'm just going to try and power it, and it turns out that powering the source end actually allowed 120 Hz to work. This also only seemed to affect the 100-meter cable. The 6-meter cable worked fine without powering the source end. So it's possibly something just due to the 120 Hz and the length of the cable. So that's just something to bear in mind. If you get this and you can't get 120 Hz to work or any other HDMI 2.1 specs, try powering the source end, because that definitely seemed to be the issue for me here. In terms of gameplay, I don't really know how to work a PlayStation. It's been so long, this isn't mine, it's my partner's. So last time I used a PlayStation probably was a PS2. So after probably about half an hour of battling trying to get a game on this that will run at 120 Hz and figuring out how to work the thing, I have been able to get some games working and getting frame rates around about 90 frames a second. Now, it's using variable refresh rate, so the TV is not sitting at 120 Hz because it's operating with a variable refresh rate, but I've been able to easily get frame rates of 90 frames a second and above, so it's definitely operating at HDMI 2.1 speeds, which is brilliant. For a 100-meter cable, that is incredible. And just to prove there's no movie magic here, I can simply come down here, pull that cable out of the TV, and the picture goes off. So, yep, that is the cable that is getting 120 Hz from a PS5. It works. So, yeah, this cable is definitely capable of HDMI 2.1. You might just need to add additional power to power the source end if you've got a really long cable and you're trying to run 120 Hz over it. So, there you have it. That was a look at these pure fibre, detachable HDMI 2.1 cables from RUIPRO, and they work perfectly. I actually ended up using one of them for a couple of months in my living room between my TV and AV receiver just to give it a proper test, and I didn't experience any issues. It just worked perfectly. So yeah, hopefully you found this video interesting or potentially useful if you're thinking about running HDMI through a building, but all left to say now is thank you very much for watching, and if you're interested in buying these cables, I'll leave links in the description and a pinned comment.